Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik from Figured Out Productions. The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of May 2020. And because of our continuing, ongoing lockdown, quarantine, whatever situation, I've unfortunately really haven't picked up a whole lot of stuff. I got some stuff, obviously, and I thought it'd be cool to still talk about it, but man, because I can't go to anything, it's getting tougher. But that said, we still got some stuff, and some cool items for sure, so I thought we'd talk about them. Now, the first one up here looks pretty obvious. It's an Xbox 360. This is actually technically not a new pickup, but it is at the same time. I will explain that. Actually, astute viewers of the channel will know that this Xbox 360 originally showed up on this show over 2 years ago. On February 2018's PlayLoad, this Xbox 360 showed up. It is a gift from another YouTuber named Mr. Mario. It is a modified Xbox 360. However, recently, I actually had time to dive into this thing. We noticed a problem with it, and I sent it back to him. He sent it back to me after doing a bunch of updated work to it, if you will. And this thing is getting its own dedicated video. So it's kind of a teaser for what's coming up. So it's not really a new console or a new device, because I've technically owned it for 2 years, but it's basically brand new with all the stuff that's on it now. It's totally crazy. So stay tuned to that video. That's going to be fun. But next up to the first totally, completely brand new item, and actually the only game, like by itself, at least that I'm aware of. There could be games in this, we'll find out. There should be. But the only thing I definitely bought, I should put it that way. No, that's not even true. There is another thing I bought. But anyway, a video game. We got this, like, the most obvious singular video game. And it's this, Star Wars Racer Revenge for the PlayStation 4. This is a cool pickup. This was actually originally a limited run games release. I guess according to the back, it's number 290. Oddly, a lot of limited run game stuff is now being sold in other outlets. Like sometimes Best Buy is doing it, but in this case, GameFly, like the rental service, which I'm actually still a member of. GameFly is awesome for buying used games. They have incredibly good deals on stuff, and they throw a bunch of coupons at you all the time. So in my case, I actually had $10 worth of coupons I used on this. So I think I only paid like $10 for this game. Now, the thing about this game that to me is actually the most fascinating is this is the direct sequel to Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, which I loved. I loved that game. It was originally for the Dreamcast and the Nintendo 64. I think there is now also like a PlayStation 4 and a Switch version of that, but because somehow Limited Run got a hold of LucasArts and EA's consent, and they were able to just re-release a ton of these classic Star Wars games, which I approve of. This one, though, originally came out on the PlayStation 2 and was exclusive to the PlayStation 2, which I actually had it for the PlayStation 2. It never quite saw the same attention that the Episode 1 Racer game did. I attribute that to the fact that Episode 1 Racer was so heavily tied in with the promotion of Episode 1, which, even though we all look back on it now, is like, oh, it's Phantom Menace. But at the time, you have to understand, like, that was one of the most hyped movies in existence, and that was essentially the official video game that went with it. I know there was an official Star Wars Episode 1 video game for the PS1 and the PC, but that game did not quite see the same traction that Episode 1 Racer saw. I mean, Nintendo did an entire N64 console bundle with it. It was a big Dreamcast game as well. But the sequel never really saw the same kind of love, largely because I think a lot of people were just deflated after Phantom Menace, and because by the time this game was out, there was a whole bunch of new Star Wars stuff, and also being exclusive just to the PS2. I think, even though PS2 is the most successful console ever, I still think that probably hurt it a bit, because there were so many other Star Wars games, literally even ones just exclusive to that console, like Super Bombad Racing, which was terrible. So it's not surprising this one kind of fell to the wayside. What's interesting to me about that, though, is that this game, originally anyway, was made before Attack of the Clones came out. So they didn't really know what Attack of the Clones, at least George probably did, but everyone else didn't really quite know yet what Attack of the Clones was going to be. So this is not a sequel to Phantom Menace, but in a sense it kind of is, because it's kind of like the developers being like, I don't know what he's going to do. Let's make our own kind of mini sequel. So it's like a totally different alternate history of what could have come after Phantom Menace. Granted, very limited in that capacity because it is primarily a racing game. But it also features playable as a character, an adult version of Anakin Skywalker, voiced by Jake Lloyd, who played him in Phantom Menace. This is actually the last thing Jake Lloyd ever acted in. He never did anything else with Star Wars. He never did anything else period. Funny thing is, he went to my college. We went through the exact same film school program. But yeah, no, interestingly, yeah, that's the last project he ever worked on. Even to the point, side story that has nothing really to do with this, because Jake Lloyd went to my college, when I was doing productions back in film school, we got a hold of some people that knew him, and I was putting together a production, a short film, and I was like, because people, like, no joke, like, you know, my producer at the time knew him because, again, it's a film school. There's not a ton of people, even though I personally hadn't met him at that point. And he was just like, I asked him, like, do you think there's a possibility we at least get him in the movie as, like, some sort of extra or something? And they're like, we'll reach out, but I can't imagine he'll say yes. And we heard back, and he was just like, there is nothing I will do in front of a camera. No, just no. That was the official response we got. But but there's a side story. I almost could have been the guy to get Jake Lloyd to do one thing after this game. Almost happened. Almost happened. But anyway, so yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's the game, which I'm sure is a far superior version over the original PlayStation 2 edition. Moving on. We got a couple other just random items. This one I apparently ordered and completely forgot about. I mean, like, completely forgot about this. A guy named, he goes by the username Saturn Dave. I'm sure a lot of you guys in the Sega Saturn community know who he is. He's a prolific, you know, artist, if you will, and he's big in that community. But he does a lot of reproduction Sega Saturn artwork and cases. So, like, primarily taking Japanese games or European exclusive games that are playable in North America, either if they were fans translated or, you know, in the case of European games, just kind of giving you North American artwork style. He took a bunch of stuff like that, and then he makes, like, you know, the full-on artwork for North America so that it could fit in with that particular collection. He had done a few, and one that he was working on really intrigued me, and I apparently put down, to put myself on the reserve list for, like, when the next batch was ready, you know, he would hook me up. And he does these in small amounts. I have no idea when that happened, though. It could have been, for all I know, years ago, because I have basically no memory of it. I have, like, this vague memory of that occurring. And out of nowhere, he just messages me, and he's like, hey, you probably don't even remember this, but, like, here's the situation, here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing 10 of them. Out of the 10, you're the 10th on that list. So if you don't want it, I can skip to the next person. If I don't hear back from you soon, that's what I'll do. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, I want it. So I, you know, sent him some money, and he sent this over. So I'm going to show it to you guys right now. I think this is really neat. The only thing that it's obviously missing, because it can't fit in this little case, is the actual plastic part that you would put the artwork and stuff in. But I'll show you what the specific game is. So he wraps it just like this, just paper there to protect it. I believe this shipped originally from California. And then in there is a bunch of cardboard to protect it, and then there's the artwork. This is for a game called Deep Fear. Now, Deep Fear, there you go. You can see the Dave Lee Customs he does, and this is the signature of authenticity. Production number looks like 14. So that's the back part, and then he does a full-on manual, which is reversible depending on which type of art style you like. I believe this is more of the Japanese style, and I think that was more of the European style. I'm not 100% on that, but again, it's purely cosmetic. And then he includes copies of the disc. Now, the discs are CDRs, but they have very nice top labels, and to be honest with you, if I didn't know this was fake, I'm not sure I would pick up on it until I look on the backside and see that it's a green CDR. But the front of it looks amazing. For those who do not know of this game, this is essentially Sega's answer to Resident Evil. This was supposed to be a big deal. This game did come out in Japan, and it came out in Europe, and actually the American version of this game was finished. It was simply just never distributed. For whatever reason, maybe by that point Sega just didn't even care anymore. I don't know, or they thought it wasn't worth the marketing money and they were just ready to cut the losses. I don't know entirely what happened, but the North American version was finished. It was also leaked onto the internet at one point. So I presume this is it. This is the exact version. And when I say leaked, I mean, like, it was done. The leaked version is the done version. It's not a prototype. So there you go. This is the completed North American version of Deep Fear, which I cannot stress enough was Sega's answer to Resident Evil. So in this case, he has made a very nice set of the artwork, and I just have to find, like, basically a sports game as a donor case that I can plop this all into. But that'll be really cool. And it'll match well with a lot of... I have a couple of these. I've got Christmas Nights into Dreams in a long box form, and Linkle Liver's Story as a translated... It was a Japanese game. There was a fan translation into English, and I got one at the Cowlitz convention that John Hancock used to help run. It was like 1 of 10 copies, and I've got that. So this will go nicely with that set. I do own the original European version of this game, but having like the American version will just, I think it'll be really cool, because that's, of all of the European exclusives, that might, or, well, when I say exclusives, I mean games that the Saturn got in Europe that the Saturn did not get in North America. This is probably one of the best, if not the best. That's obviously debatable. They have a couple of like legit good ones in there, like Mega Man X3 and a few others. But that one might potentially be the best. And also the most surprising, because again, it was actually finished. But either way, very cool to have that. So thank you to Dave for all your efforts there in the Saturn community. You are doing a fantastic job. Next up, we have a t-shirt, and I'm pretty sure I know where this came from, but it's also possible I opened this up and it's completely wrong. But let's open it up and find out for sure. But here we go. Inside, it is, well, I guess I won't really know until I open it all the way. That looks right. That looks correct. This is a t-shirt from the Krillcast. Krillcast is another YouTube channel. This is their logo. And they made some shirts on Spreadshirt. Yeah, so they were cool enough to have me as a guest on their podcast a couple of times on their channel. You can check it out if you want to. If you're not tired of hearing me ramble over here, I ramble on other places. I go to other channels and I ramble on them too, including Mr. Mario's. I went and rambled over there. But if you want to check that out, you can. And they were just cool enough to send me a shirt as kind of a thank you for having been on the show. So thank you very much, guys. It was really cool of you to do. You didn't have to do that, but you did it. So thank you. And last but not least, we have this package. This one, to be honest with you, I really don't know anything about it. A guy named Frank contacted me, and he was just like, "Hey man, love your channel. I'm getting rid of some stuff in my collection, you know, and I don't know if you need any of this stuff, but I'd be happy to send it to you." And I was just like, "You don't have to send me stuff," which again, true. I always tell everybody you don't have to send me anything. But he was pretty insistent. He's like, "Honestly, none of it's really valuable, and I don't really want it, so it's just gonna go in the trash if you don't want it." But he wouldn't tell me what it is either, so I don't know. I'm assuming it's games, but for all I know, there's like dildos in here. I have no idea, but we're about to find out. So thank you, Frank, for doing this. Unless you sent dildos or something, then no, don't thank you. But let's find out. Popping that off there. All right, Frank, please have not done something weird. Okay. No, it's video games. It's video games. Looks like Xbox stuff. And some packing material. Okay, yeah, just Xbox stuff. Looks like OG Xbox games. Let's see here. Thank you for that. We've got Colin McRae Rally 04. It's complete. We've got Motocross Mania 3. And it too is complete. NCAA 08 Football, which is also complete. NFL head coach. I didn't even know they made one of these in North America. I mean, like, okay. It's complete too. Sidetrack. I'm not a big sports guy. I love the NBA. I've never understood football or hand egg, whatever. To me, that is the definition of not an interesting sport. I'm sorry to people who like it. I know there's not many of you who watch this channel who would think that, but I've never understood it. But at least with the actual football games, like I guess this, I could understand you'd be playing it. I didn't know they made a head coach game in North America. I've seen these in like Europe where they do like Football Manager, which is like, or Premier Manager, which is of soccer, soccer coach or management games. I didn't think they would ever do this for North America. I just did not envision that there would be an audience for that. I can't imagine it's worth anything, but I also find it really hard to believe that. I'm not meaning to rip on. Sorry, Frank. I'm not meaning to rip on what you played or liked or whatever. But like, I'm just surprised. I did not know they had made one of these for North America. That's all I'm saying. But thank you. The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, also complete, and an Xbox 360 game, Kane and Lynch 2: Dog Days, which also appears to be complete. So There you go. All right, cool. I wasn't expecting. I thought maybe this would be the only game. I knew what that was. That kind of doesn't count, but it's cool. I wasn't expecting all that. So thank you very much. Yeah, guys, as you can see, that's kind of it. So thank you very much for watching. If you guys could like, comment, and subscribe and all that stuff, I'd really appreciate it. Check out all the social media stuff in the description. Including the Discord. Come hop in the Discord or Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, all that stuff. You can go ahead and do it. Also, and thank you again to Frank as well as to Dave and to Krillcast and Mr. Mario and I guess Gamefly in a way. But thank you all and see you all later.